What Victor Gyökeres just did speaks volumes about Arsenal, and reveals Mikel Arteta's secret weapon. Arsenal's newest no. 9 walked into the Emirates Stadium carrying more than just expectations. He carried doubts, comparisons, and the weight of a £60 million price tag. And for much of the first half against Leeds United, those doubts were growing louder. The touch map said it all. Victor Gyökeres was barely involved. Fewer than 100 minutes into his Arsenal career, and some were already sharpening their criticism. The Gunners controlled possession but lacked a cutting edge up front. Gyökeres looked off the pace. Anonymous, even. And though Arsenal entered halftime with a 2-0 lead, the chatter had already begun. Had they gotten this one wrong? But what came next told us more about the player, and perhaps even more about the team he's now a part of. See, Gyökeres isn't your typical Arsenal forward. He's not finesse. He's not flair. What he is power, directness, and raw efficiency. A striker who thrives on chaos, who punishes defenders when given an inch. And while he may not be the most graceful on the ball, when he gets moving, there's almost no stopping him. And when Leeds left the door open, just once, he didn't hesitate. He charged down the left, brushing aside 2 defenders like they were training cones. Then, with that cannon of a right foot, he blasted the ball into the near post with a kind of conviction that reminds you exactly why he scored 43 goals in 50 games last season in Portugal. Yes, this was Leeds, newly promoted, stretched thin. But that's exactly the kind of opportunity Gyökeres has built his career on. In open grass, with defenders on the back foot, he's ruthless. And while the Premier League may be tougher, faster, and more physical than the Primera Liga, Gyökeres is no ordinary import. He's not here to disappear. He's here to adapt, evolve, and ultimately, dominate. This goal mattered. Not just because it put the game out of reach. Not just because it was his first in an Arsenal shirt. But because it was a clear message: I hear you. I'm just getting started. The celebration said it all. This wasn't a muted smile or a casual fist pump. It was a roar. A statement. A release of pressure, and proof that this man feels everything. Minutes later, when he confidently buried a late penalty, the reaction was different, calmer, but just as meaningful. He ran his hands over his head, slicking back his hair, mimicking the very gesture that had been mocked after Arsenal's loss to Manchester United the previous week. This time, it was deliberate, controlled, defiant. He knows what people are saying. He knows the spotlight is brighter at Arsenal. But he's not shrinking from it, he's owning it. And that's what makes Gyökeres so compelling. Because he's not perfect. He may not link up as fluidly as Gabriel Jesus. He may not dance past defenders with Saka's grace or glide like Martinelli. But what he does bring is a missing edge, the kind of relentless energy and physicality that makes defenders hate their job. Give this man time, and more importantly, give him space, and he will deliver. Mikel Arteta knows it too. While critics question whether Gyökeres is the right fit for Arsenal's intricate system, Arteta quietly knows he's added a different kind of weapon to his arsenal. One who, in the right moments, can change the tone of a match in a single sprint or strike. A bruiser in a team full of ballet dancers. And that's the point. Because Arsenal doesn't need Gyökeres to be perfect. They just need him to show up when it matters. Against Leeds, he did. And in doing so, he silenced the noise for now, and reminded everyone that this story is just beginning. And with that breakthrough moment, Victor Gyökeres didn't just silence the doubters, he lit a fuse within Arsenal. His first league goal wasn't simply a milestone, it felt like the unlocking of hidden potential. In the aftermath, social media erupted. Even the most skeptical voices softened, replaced by highlights of that thunderous strike and celebration loops of that iconic roar. For Arsenal's global fanbase, this was more than a goal, it was a spark of belief. Inside the Arsenal dressing room, the mood shifted too. Senior players who know the grind of adapting to the Premier League sense the significance of Gyökeres' resilience. He may have arrived late, underprepared, and under pressure, but now, he's starting to show what made them invest £60 million in him. Coaches spoke in hushed tones, he's earned part of his arrival fee, and that was just his first act. The ripple effects go beyond one goal or one game. Consider these emerging narratives. 1. A new dimension to Arsenal's attack. Arsenal's front line is evolving. Bukayo Saka's dynamism, Martin Odegaard's maestro-like control, and Declan Rice's drive are now complemented by a striker who brings brute force and instinctual finishing. Opposing defenses, used to marking Arteta's fluid attackers, must now also prepare for Gyökeres's raw physicality. 2. A tactical pivot for Mikel Arteta. Arteta's tactical canvas has expanded. Knowing he can rely on a striker who punishes spaces with power means the manager can deploy more direct transitions, especially against teams that sit deep. It gives Arsenal a plan B and plan C. They're not just about possession anymore, they can beat you with menace. 3. Confidence breeds performance. There's a subtle shift in Gyökeres's demeanor. Pre-season jitters are being replaced by presence. He's seen training with more assertiveness, sharper movement, stronger finishes. His teammates notice. When fire meets direction, execution follows, and that starts with belief. 4. Knock-on effects across the league. Elsewhere, clubs are taking note. Arsenal's blend of finesse and force is now more pronounced. Opponents studying highlights will be alert to Gyökeres's presence, and take note of how quickly he can decide a match. Scouting reports are already being updated. 5. Media and market buzz. The incredible frenzy for a player with just one goal may feel disproportionate, but that's how narratives grow in the Premier League. Football editors are already asking, who was this guy at 20 minutes? And what can he be by Christmas? Transfer values are rising, and endorsement opportunities will likely follow as his brand rises. The next challenge. But make no mistake, this is only the beginning. The Premier League is unforgiving. The true test will come when Gyökeres matches up against top-tier defenses, teams like Manchester City, Liverpool, and Newcastle. That's where true grit and adaptation will matter most. For Arteta, the job now is nurturing this spark without overburdening it. Balancing game time, managing fatigue, and ensuring he integrates seamlessly into Arsenal's rhythm will be essential to prevent this early confidence from fading. And for Gyökeres himself? It's about consistency, trust, and growth. He must build on this performance, not rest on it. His second, third, and fourth matches under the spotlight will define whether that roar becomes a steady hum, or even louder. Final thought. In one moment against Leeds United, Victor Gyökeres reminded us why he was brought to Arsenal, not to fit quietly, but to blaze trails. And for a team with championship ambitions, having a striker who can shift momentum with a single bone-rattling strike is priceless. This goal might be the start, but its ripples are already being felt. Arsenal's story just got a little more electric. And Victor Gyökeres is beginning to write his chapter. Saka's injury update, ease the perfect fit, 5 potential departures, Arsenal's dream finish to the transfer window. As the summer transfer window enters its final stretch, Arsenal find themselves in an unusually calm and enviable position. 2 games into their Premier League campaign, and with just days left before the September 1st deadline, much of the heavy lifting has already been done. Now the Gunners look to finish strong, not with chaos, but with control. For sporting director Andrea Berta, who arrived just 5 months ago, it's been a busy first window. Quietly but efficiently, he addressed key gaps across the squad, a new backup goalkeeper, depth at centre-back, and a major boost in midfield and attack. Names like Martin Zubimendi, Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres, and Ebereki Eze now headline a reshaped, rejuvenated squad. And yet, Mikel Arteta's final challenge is perhaps the most crucial, turning this squad from contenders into champions. With Berta's modern, data-driven approach to recruitment, Arsenal have been nimble and deliberate. Multiple targets tracked at once, key decisions made well before negotiations even began, it's paid off. Now, with just over a week remaining, what would an ideal finish to the window actually look like? 1. The final signing is already done. Barring any major injury surprises, Ebereki Eze is likely to be Arsenal's final incoming of the summer. And what a signing it could prove to be. While not a direct replacement for Kai Havertz, the timing of Eze's arrival aligns closely with ongoing concerns around the German's fitness. His ability to play wide left or centrally gives Arteta tactical flexibility, allowing others like Leandro Trossard, Mikel Merino, and even Ethan Nwaneri to slot into more natural roles behind Gyökeres when needed. If Eze hits the ground running, and perhaps even debuts at Anfield, he could be the final piece in Arteta's attacking puzzle. 2. 5 players to be moved on. With the incoming business essentially complete, focus now shifts to the outgoings, and there's plenty to do. Arsenal are hoping to raise at least £80 million from the departures of players who no longer feature in Arteta's plans. Fabio Vieira and Jakub Kiwior are both attracting interest, though the club and their suitors remain apart in valuation. Meanwhile, Oleksandr Zinchenko's role continues to diminish, with little clarity over his long-term place in the squad. Albert Sambi Lokonga is all but gone, and somehow, Reiss Nelson remains, though his time at the Emirates may finally be coming to an end. Financially, these exits aren't just about balancing the books. Arsenal must remain compliant with UEFA's squad cost rules and the Premier League's profit and sustainability regulations. While not currently at risk of violation, the Gunners still trail several rivals in player sales, something Berta will be keen to correct. 3. Positive injury news is key. Perhaps the most important developments of the week won't come from the transfer market at all, but from the medical room. All eyes are on the fitness updates for Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, and Kai Havertz. None of the injuries appear season-threatening, but the timing, so close to a high-stakes clash at Anfield, raises anxiety. The hope is that at least two of the trio will return swiftly, with the upcoming international break offering a welcome buffer to avoid missing too many league games. Saka's issue, in particular, is one the club is treating with extreme caution. Losing the talismanic winger for any extended period could change the tone of Arsenal's early season campaign. In truth, Iza's arrival was likely influenced by these fitness concerns. His versatility gives Arteta cover in multiple areas, ensuring the system doesn't break down if any of his stars miss time. 4. No drama, no problem. If things go according to plan, Arsenal's name won't dominate the headlines in the final days of the window. And that, in itself, would be a massive win. This isn't a club scrambling for solutions. There's no desperation, no 11th-hour fire sale. Berta and Arteta have done the work early, and done it well. If they can resist the temptation to get dragged into late-window chaos, they'll enter the Anfield showdown with momentum and clarity. After all, while rival clubs stress over final deals and last-minute exits, Arsenal can focus on football. 5. A new-look Arsenal built for the long haul. With Victor Gyökeres finding his rhythm, Odegaard continuing to pull the strings, and Saka hopefully returning soon, Ease enters an attack that's already filled with quality, but now feels complete. He's the kind of player who doesn't just fill a gap, he elevates those around him. Saka, Odegaard, and Gyökeres will love playing with someone who sees the game as quickly and clearly as Ease does. So no, Arsenal don't need another signing. They don't need the drama. What they need is what they already have, a focused squad, a smart summer strategy, and just a bit of luck on the injury front. If that holds, if they get the clean bills of health they're hoping for, and if the final week passes without surprises, this summer will go down as one of Arsenal's smartest and most successful windows in recent memory. Saka's injury scare, Iza's perfect fit, and Arsenal's dream finish to the transfer window. With just days left in the summer transfer window, Arsenal find themselves in a position few would envy, but even fewer would bet against. After 2 Premier League matches, Mikel Arteta's side has shown glimpses of something special, but also signs of worry. Injuries cast a shadow, but not darkness. The 5-0 win over Leeds was dominant, but it came at a cost. Both Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard left the pitch with injury concerns, raising doubts just ahead of a critical clash against Liverpool. And with Kai Havertz already sidelined, the timing couldn't be worse. Early assessments suggest the injuries aren't long-term, a huge relief for Arteta and the squad. Even a few weeks out could be buffered by the upcoming international break. But the uncertainty has made one thing clear: Arsenal's depth will be tested, and fast. Iza's arrival comes at just the right moment. Fortunately, Arsenal's newest signing might be exactly what they need. Ebereki Eze, a dynamic playmaker capable of playing on the left or centrally, gives Arteta the tactical flexibility to absorb absences without losing momentum. His arrival wasn't just strategic. It felt like a statement. A player of Iza's creativity and confidence doesn't just fill gaps, he reshapes games. And with Saka, Havertz, or Odegaard potentially missing time, Eze could go from signing to savior in record time. Behind the scenes, Arsenal playing the long game. Sporting director Andrea Berta, who joined earlier this year, has overseen a carefully balanced window. Smart investments, not just flashy signings, have reshaped the squad's core. Zubimendi in midfield. Gyökeres up top. Madueke out wide. Mascara in defense. Eze as the X-factor. Now, with those key additions in place, the focus has shifted, not to buying more, but to selling smart. Trimming the squad, without rushing. Several players are expected to move before the window closes. Fabio Vieira, Rice Nelson, Albert Sambi Lokonga, Jakub Kiwior, and Oleksandr Zinchenko could all be on their way out. Arsenal hope to raise around £80 million from those departures, a figure that would go a long way in balancing the books and staying within financial regulations. It's not just about funds, though. It's about space. Arteta wants a streamlined, focused group, one where every player is contributing or developing. The dream ending to the window. So, what would a perfect finish look like for Arsenal? Positive medical news for Saka and Odegaard, even if they need to rest short-term, avoiding serious injuries would be massive. No panic buys or last-minute chaos, a sign that Arsenal already got their business right early. Smart sales to lighten the squad and reinforce stability, all while avoiding weakening the team's depth. Ease making his debut, ideally at Anfield, under the lights, where his creativity could truly shine. Arsenal don't need a dramatic finale to this window. They need composure, control, quiet confidence. If they can hold steady while others scramble, this could be remembered not just as a good summer, but as the one that truly set them up to challenge for everything.